This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know this that I know. For the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, I know it, I know.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Solve For Why Vlogcast. This is episode number 22 after a brief hiatus where I headed to the mountains because I couldn't deal with the presidential election. I came back a new man, still no new president, still up for debate, still no chin. We don't know where he's at. He's probably in the Dominican Republic where they don't have these types of issues. No. So instead, I'm joined by my wonderful young co-host for the week, Landon the Prince Tice.
We're going to do this?
Self-proclaimed prince?
Self-proclaimed?
Yeah.
You know me well enough that I wouldn't call myself the prince.
No, you're right. You call yourself the god.
I'm a god.
Uh-huh.
Prince? No. God? Fuck yeah.
We'll get into it a little bit today. These young fucking kids need to put some respect on the name. I think that's a conversation we can have a little bit later in the show. I'm getting to know way too many 21 and 22-year-olds between you and Chris K and Jeremiah and Lynn and just this whole collective of up-and-comers.
Next gen.
Next gen, who think very little of the generation before them.
The old-timey regs. The perceived good regs.
Wow, you're just banging right out of the gate, huh?
No.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. There are some things happening in the poker world. High-stakes poker is back. Poker After Dark is back. COVID be damned. We don't give a shit. We're all playing live poker. You've been in the high-stakes streets online. Daniel versus Doug is now a week in. I feel like I'm still forgetting something else. Chance and Phil, the Galfond challenge. Chance out to a surprising lead. Maybe not that surprising since, maybe someone dabbled a little bit on the Chance side in this room. I'm not sure. No faith in the old-timey regs.
I got faith.
Went for the other old-timey reg.
Rolled from one old-timey reg to another.
Yeah. So I guess let's start with Daniel and Doug.
Let's do it.
Since that's probably the most, I guess, relevant topic as of when we're filming this.
Yeah.
We're 4 sessions in?
4 sessions, yeah.
Okay, 4 sessions
Today
in.
was 4.
Daniel did pretty well in the live environment.
Yeah.
As a casual viewer and somebody who plays a lot of live poker, even though it's only a 200-hand sample, I feel like Doug looked less in his comfort zone. Not that he's losing in that environment by any stretch.
Right.
But I do think that, like, I don't know that he wins as much poker if they play the entire challenge live. Or sorry, I don't know if he wins as many big blinds if they play the entire challenge live as opposed to online.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I think Daniel's giving up a lot of EV by two-tabling, rapid hands. Like, you're getting 3-bet by Doug on one table. You're facing a cold 4 on the other one. You have this big all-in river decision. And, you're constantly ping-ponging back and forth. Like, these old-timey regs, man, they don't think that fast. We're still looking through the blueprint of the solves and just trying to, like, let it all distill in and
of course,
run it through. So
yeah, I mean, like, I've had my stint in some higher stakes live stuff, and we've had some conversations about the differences between live and online.
Yeah, you online guys, man, you struggle. You struggle. You know what I think the biggest part of it is just keeping track of pot size.
Yeah, that's part of it to some extent. Yeah, like
you don't have your bunker range.
I'll keep a rough estimate of what's in the pot.
Yeah.
And then, like, use what I see fit. Like,
all right. So there's a few things going on. You don't have your bunker ranges in front of you.
I don't have them anyway.
You don't have cheating, you don't have a number on the screen telling you what the pot size is or what the stack sizes are.
That's the more important part.
And you have to do math to arrive at your 80%, your 33%, your 25%.
Yeah.
So it's annoying.
It's like you don't
just have hotkeys.
You don't click buttons. There's no hotkeys. There's no mouse. There's no scrolly mouse wheel.
Yeah. And you're a goddamn tail box.
Yeah. I give it all away. I definitely do.
I don't know if that's true or not. I literally haven't played any live with you at all.
Sure, but I'm a pretty animated guy, and I think I know more than I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'd say that's accurate. That fits the poker and pickleball both.
Yeah.
There are lessons to be learned, but I think, it's good. It's mutual. I keep you humble, you keep me young kind of thing.
Right. It's
a
classic
fair
trade-off.
exchange. Yeah.
You go from old-timey reg to less old-timey reg.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. You know, you know what? We're not going to talk about Doug and Daniel yet. We're just going to get into this conversation. I was talking to Andre about this today.
Okay.
Where, you know, the more and more young kids that I'm hanging around, first of all, it's like it's somewhat inspiring because you guys are just out to conquer the fucking world.
Poker's gonna be in good hands.
I don't know that poker's even gonna exist to be in your hands the way things are trending, to be quite frank.
Live, there'll always be spots.
There will always be live, but
not public. Maybe
none of you want to play live. You don't want to leave your fucking beds. I understand.
I don't. I definitely don't.
The online generation definitely did not change from 2003 to now.
As in, like,
the incentive to like put in volume as opposed to like playing very low volume, slow paced live games.
Oh yeah.
And I think like the live crowd is kind of the same. Like there's just no interest to going into online whenever you have this super soft environment that you're beating for big numbers.
Were most, like, back in the day, I guess, like when I was in like sixth grade,
Yeah,
right? Were most of the pros that were online like young? They were just younger guys, right? Most of them, like,
yeah,
like there was some, like,
with the exception of like tournaments, I think.
Sure, but I just mean for like cash games, I guess.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
And I'm assuming that's
but
kind
like outside
of
of Dur and Jungle Man and maybe a handful of others, I guess Galfond qualifies. And,
yeah,
you know, Robo.
There's
a very short list of those guys that transitioned into the live realm.
Right. I was going to say, like, there's not that many like kids my age that are like strictly live.
No.
There's some. But
Chris
like,
K is like one of the few that comes to mind.
I mean, I guess in the sense of like scalability to playing like 50, 100 plus, like consistently, like
right.
having those, like it's
like
just
Jeremiah is a good example, but I think he would rather play online too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I was talking to Andre about this, and I was like, man, these young kids, like they're so pie-eyed and they just want all the money now, and they just, you know, they see the game in a way that is super full of optimism and super full of EV.
Okay.
Because like you're young and you're successful. And I'm saying you is the collective you, not just specifically you.
Right. I'm getting the opposite end of that spectrum of maybe playing more good spots.
Yeah. But I mean, just in general, there are like way more 21 to 25-year-olds who have six figures available to them, whether they've earned it or they get backing, than I can ever remember throughout. You know, like 2003 to 2007, there were some that just like stepped in shit and made a lot of money.
What irresponsible human would give someone like me six figures to play poker with, huh?
Well, there's a group of us. But like speaking to that group, I was telling Andre, I was like, you know, these kids, they're I keep calling you kids. That's unfair.
I mean,
you're young adults.
I treat myself like I'm six. Like,
sure.
I'm like we talked about before, like, in poker, I'm like pretty professional, but like in life outside of poker,
oh, you're a mess.
I'm a mess.
You're a fucking mess.
I'm like middle school, maybe.
I would say like freshman year of college.
Nah, because
you have takeout everywhere.
I don't have a license yet. I don't have a license yet.
Yeah, whatever. There are freshmen in college that don't have licenses.
Sure, freshmen in college, no license.
Yeah, like your bed's fucking stripped. It's always just like bare. There's takeout boxes everywhere. You haven't cooked a meal ever in your life.
I've cooked a meal in my life.
Once,
cook
maybe.
Some chicken and some steaks.
Yeah, nice, good job, buddy.
I'll cook some chicken and some steaks.
You know, like maybe not. You've maybe perhaps dabbled in getting your clothes washed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do your own.
I did. I did it at the house.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not accusing you of anything. But yeah, like, you know, collectively, like the whole group of these young up and comers that I'm exposed to in the live realm that also play online. You're all mature in very different ways.
Yeah.
Like it's very clear you all come from very different backgrounds. You have different lenses through which you see the game, or maybe through which you see life.
Yeah.
And your maturity shines through in very different ways. Like Chris is a very well-grounded, you know, mentally sound, I guess, like trying to really rein in his emotions at 21.
Yeah.
And then like I see Jeremiah and it's just like he's just, you know, he's at that killer phase.
Yeah.
Where it's just like he's impervious. He's made a lot of money already and he's just ready to play any competition, yada, yada, yada. You're in that situation where it's like you're very professional in the poker realm. You're very 21-ish in the non-poker realm. Yeah. So it's just like it's fascinating to me. But what collectively I see from all of you is just the utter disrespect.
Disrespect.
Oh, the disrespect. Where it's just like, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, you know what it is I was telling Andre this. I was like, these guys look at someone like Nick Schulman, who in my eyes is just like, one of the GOATs. And like, I'm not putting words in your mouth because I know you're very close to Nick.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you see it this way, but
Sure.
I'm saying like your collection of age group. It's like you look at a guy like Nick Schulman the same way I look at a guy like Eric Seidel.
Okay.
Like I look at Seidel and I'm just like, God damn. That guy just reinvents himself. He found a way to hang around for like 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah.
Like he's just, he's not the greatest in the world, but he's competing at a very high level.
He's there.
Yeah. I think that's how you guys see a guy like Schulman.
Well,
like, oh, look at this guy. He reinvented himself.
It's hard for me to say because like I know it's hard for me to say because like I know Nick like more than most in that
of course.
regard. But like
maybe Nick is a bad example.
Well,
but
I mean in the sense of like people know Nick more as a commentator than like a poker player. And Nick was like,
insane.
and Nick was the goddamn truth back in the day. Like I've had conversations with him about this. I was like, when you were my age, like, what were you up to? He was like, yeah, like I was playing the highest stakes stuff, like when I was younger than you, and like I was like just crushing back then. And I was like, that's you, like that's you. And he's like, yeah, that's me.
This is what I'm talking about. You guys have no sense of history.
Exactly.
It's like I can throw out somebody who has.
We don't got a poker history textbook for all this.
Right. I throw out a name who's been like playing for 18 years and has like 10 million in earnings and is currently playing the Tritons. And like playing cash games at like the 1K, 2K level. And it's like, hey, how would you feel about playing like in a game with him? It's like, he sucks, right? It's like,
he's trash, huh?
What do you mean? It's like, oh, he's an old timey reg. Like he doesn't study, does he?
Old time, yeah.
It's like you guys all think that we're just like sitting around waiting to pass the baton. Like none of us want to get better at poker. We're just all like chilling out.
In different ways.
In different ways, how?
It's hard to run Sims.
No, it's not. It's time consuming. Sure.
It's hard to get what you want out of them in some aspects. Like some people look for the wrong things, and I'm like
elaborate.
Like I guess a lot of people when like they know that a sim exists and they think the sim gives an answer, they think that they now want to find the answer for their specific hand in their specific instance. Where it's like, okay, like does my hand want to bluff river? Yes or no. If it's in there at some frequency, sure, it's fine. And if it's not, it's like you like look for an exception of, oh, this guy's overcalling. So
sure.
if I node lock and change it, my answer is going to be better and I should be checking.
But I think community-wide, that's an issue.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find that with guys who are diligent enough to be studying at high stakes. They got to high stakes because they're above average. Whether you want to call it IQ or poker IQ,
sure,
they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, I don't care if you
It's a lack of respect, yeah.
A little bit.
I guess the idea is like...
It's a healthy disrespect.
It depends from where, though, I guess. Like someone like Kuhn's been around forever. And like if I'm like the voice of the 21 to 25-year-olds, like we think Kuhn's a beast.
Yeah, but the thing is he's like 5 or 6 years younger than like a guy like Nick or myself.
Right.
So
but you guys are in the same like group, but like people, we just kind of see that as like, oh, like Kuhn's been everywhere. Kuhn's like always been a player. Kuhn's always been like winning. And it's easy when like the history follows along. Like I don't know who won the past 5 main events.
But the thing, when you say the history follows along, you guys think that Jason's career is like 6 years long.
Right. Like I don't
he's been playing for like 16.
Like we didn't know you guys when you were our age.
Right.
So we're like, who are these beasts of these legends of the past? Like we see you guys as like, okay, like they're legends. Like I tell Chewy and Nick all the time, and you guys like legends of the game. You've just been like, we've been around for 10 plus years. Legend of the game. Maybe old timey reg in some aspect, but legend of the game. Like you're legend.
Right, but the lack of conceptualize. Well, no, it's not even appreciating. It is what it is. Like,
sure.
Let's be honest. The next generation coming through now is eons ahead of where we were.
Skill wise?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we were starting from literal scratch. There was nobody trailblazing for us. Like it wasn't like Negreanu and Barry Greenstein were out there fucking handing out simulations for us to follow.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is, right?
Like we had no idea. We were like trying to get over the hump of gambling.
Yeah.
Right? Where this game was still viewed the same way that heading to the pits were.
Right.
And most of the people who didn't make it past the 10-year mark fell victim to like drugs or hookers or the pits or
other things outside of the game itself.
Yeah, like whether or not they were good at poker was kind of irrelevant because they were so bad at life.
Isn't that where people are like talking about their whole like, is Stu Unger a legend? Because like he's really good at poker, but like he just had a bunch of other stuff going on.
Yeah,
where, like,
right.
Like,
but like for that time frame, the fact that he was able to win so much in lieu of all that side activity,
he's a god.
Yeah, it made him the fucking best of that era.
Yeah, and I'm sure like when I Oh my God. Like when I get older, right? Like 10 years from now, like the young kids, when I become an old timey reg, the torch will pass on.
Oh, so
those guys are going to be better than I am.
Yeah, for sure. It'll
extent.
always be that way. The evolution, it's just like sport, right?
Yeah.
The evolution is always going to be there where the next up and coming wave, the barrier of entry just continually gets higher. So therefore, the people who break through are just always going to naturally be much
right.
better.
They're just going to be better at some aspects.
Yeah, the barrier of entry for me was low. In 2003, it wasn't even having money, man. I donated fucking blood.
Yeah.
Like I did this like
your skin. I know about this.
Yeah, you
story.
can see it. I have like skin graft marks here on my arm where I had them come in and they took it like what looked like the back of a pencil eraser.
Yeah.
And they just
and
pull out like, I don't know,
it's a pretty
26 layers of skin or something.
It's a pretty sick story though.
Yeah, like goes down to the
that's
core.
it's almost like a tattoo of sorts.
Yeah, it was a wound. They wounded me. These are my battle scars.
You really started with blood money.
Yeah, truthfully, I started with blood. So they gave me $800.
Hell yeah.
And they put like this drug that they were testing for diabetic, so people who are diabetic get foot ulcers.
Okay.
So we're testing this new drug to see if it healed foot ulcers better than Neosporin. So they did like their drug and then Neosporin. And then like on this arm, they did like nothing. And then they did like
nothing.
And then they did like their drug every other day.
You're just paying to get injured.
Yeah. And they would see like which one healed fastest. So I got like $800 for that. And I went and played 5-5 live and I fucking spun it. And like then I put some on Party Poker and played
What if you didn't spin it?
Oh, I mean, I went broke a bunch.
Yeah.
Prior to me spinning that one, I kept depositing like $50 at a time.
Yeah.
That I would make from like cutting grass or whatever on Party Poker.
Yeah.
And I would just play $5 sit and goes until I went broke.
Yeah.
Or until I ran it up to a few hundred. Sometimes I would cash it out. Whatever. I'm definitely not one of those.
Sometimes you 1 out of 10 times you'd cash it out.
Nah, more often than that. But like I would dust
Sure.
a lot. I mean, you have to remember back then, like the biggest stakes that Party Poker ran was 2-4 no limit. And the biggest sit and go at the time was 109.
See, I instantly went to 200, 400. But
Right,
you just
no.
mean straight up 2-4.
$2, $4,
$400
no limit.
buy-in.
Like literally 1 year prior to when I started playing, they only had limit hold'em.
Yeah.
So like that's the difference.
Wow.
In how early the barrier of entry was super, super, super low. If you had a pulse and a brain, you're probably winning against the field.
Or heart. You said heart.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta have a little heart and click that button, you know? So yeah, for like my generation, it wasn't that hard to get into poker.
Right.
And it wasn't that hard to go through the evolutionary process in the sense that there was so much soft money, we could keep ourselves afloat if you were just smarter than the next person in the room, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, like there was an apex, like Black Friday and beyond. The people who survived and then thrived at that point, it was a byproduct of their training. It was a byproduct of the way that they thought, et cetera, et cetera. I guess what I'm getting at is because your barrier of entry is so much greater, you had to be proficient at Sims before you could even beat micros. Not micros, but like small Sims.
I started using Sims myself at like 200 an hour.
Okay.
So I was like, I had coaching beforehand when I first started, beat micros from there, didn't run Sims. And then the first person that kind of showed me some Sim stuff was Jeremiah. And then he and I was
okay, so just to get into beating micros, you needed a coach. We didn't even have.
I started like I would have found my way eventually, but
Sure.
I figured like.
But the time frame might be 3x.
Exactly, that's exactly why.
And the opportunity cost there now might actually ruin your career.
Yeah, like I might not be able to be where I am now if I didn't start fast.
But also like whether you could achieve this or not, like where you're at now, is less of a concern than how you would actually survive those 3 years.
Right, just by getting there in the first place.
Right, because like now, if let's say you're 3 years behind your current self.
3 years, my God, it's longer than I've even played poker.
Right, that's what I mean. Like you just may not be able to handle the swings because life is expensive.
Right, like
it costs money.
I can only be out of college for so long when I first start.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you shorten that, you obviously break through the barrier of entry, and now you have a nice path ahead, as well as like the other select few that we were talking about.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think the counter to that is almost certainly the majority of the young up and comers of your generation will have a shorter average career path.
Go on.
So I think that like your potential earn might be the same.
Okay.
But it'll be over like maybe half the time. And then the game will flip over again. And the incentive to push on will be less and less and less. We were incentivized by TV. We were incentivized by these massive glorified tournaments, the WSOP main event.
Yeah, there was like
all of these pinnacle things.
It was
right?
legal then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you guys, you're incentivized by, I mean, we were incentivized by money, but like we were also incentivized by glory. I think for like your generation, it's strictly dollars.
Yeah, I'm like few and far between in that way. I guess like I made that tweet once about like wanting to play in like tougher games versus like printing and soft spots, and that view is not really shared by much. And
well, you don't got to worry about rent.
Right.
You start worrying about rent a little bit.
Sure, I mean,
you want to get a little softer spot.
Yeah, of course. And I guess it's just a circumstance thing. Like if I had the ability to like test myself and like play in higher stakes games versus tougher people and not have my world come crashing down if it doesn't go well, there's more of a chance to see what that's like. But if I was obviously in a different spot and I needed to make money every month,
right,
I'd have a completely different viewpoint.
Yeah, and I think that that's obviously better for your trajectory to have the luxury of saying, I want to challenge myself early.
Right.
But I also think it prevents you, like it's almost an inhibitor in some regards, because you're not out there proving that you're the best 500 NL player in America.
Sure.
You're not out there proving that you're the best 1K NL player in America, right?
Sure.
So like poker is so much more of a ladder than it is this
escalator.
Well,
elevator is a better word, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't just like get off on the floor that you want to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some exceptions where it's just like guys go from playing like 50 cent a dollar to suddenly just beating like 10K NL.
Yeah.
And they just skip a bunch of steps because like
they get in good spots.
Or just the talent pool between maybe like 200 NL and 10K NL isn't that segregated.
Right. Like if you know how to play your range in certain spots, you'll be fine.
Right. And so they just get backing and like they just jump into the deep end.
Right.
And I think that's great, but I also think that there's a lot of like,
there needs to be growing pains.
Yeah, I think a lot of like grit is developed throughout the process of holding. I don't want to use the term holding the lobby because it's not about heads up.
Right.
But like not just holding your own at a stake level, but like being able to illuminate that like you're the best.
Yeah.
And like in live, it was always subjective, but
you saw who had stacks every time.
You knew what walking into a room.
The
guy you wanted to stay away from.
Right. Like I would literally remember like when I was first starting to play poker and like I would look at some 2-5 guys and I thought 2-5 players were like the best ever. Like when I was playing 1-2, I was like 2-5, 1K max. That's a lot of dollars. And like I literally knew because of playing poker a lot, just seeing who had stacks, who looked like they knew what was going on. Like you could just tell.
Right.
Like you just tell who was like mashing in those games.
Yeah. But like when you go through that stepping process, it gets diluted a lot.
Right.
So I saw a really cool tweet that Wait Up Y put out, or not a tweet. It was actually on IG.
Okay.
He put it out, and it was like this graph.
Yeah.
Where it said my perception of people.
Okay.
And the left hand side of the graph was like something like godlike, human, or demons.
Right.
Right. So it was like this concept that like without really knowing people very much, you either worship them,
right? You judge
demonize them, or you see them as humans,
as an equal.
And if you looked at like where he started everybody in the graph, there was like a big density to demonizing people,
right?
A small concentration of people that like he held in high regard,
right?
And then this tiny little striation of people that he just saw as human,
sure,
right? And those are generally going to be peers,
yeah.
And then on the bottom graph, it said how well I know them, right? So it starts with obviously the initial point is you don't know them at all, and then it progresses to you get to know them very well, and it all converges on seeing them all as human,
right?
And I think it's kind of very similar in poker, where it's like it's easy to be in awe of like what you don't understand.
Right.
You just like look up at the guy who's playing 10x the stakes that you are.
Yeah.
And you see his path and trajectory of getting there. And you're just like, wow, that is just so far ahead of where I'm at right now. So you like glorify him in some regards.
Yeah.
And then you look at whales in the same game and you're just like, I could fucking beat that guy right now.
Yeah. Let me play him heads up.
Yeah. Let me play 10K NAL because like I'm definitely printing over this guy.
Right.
That kind of thing. You kind of like almost demonize him.
Yeah.
But like there's just a healthy respect that's necessary to compete in that arena.
Yeah.
And if you step your way to it, instead of just getting like thrown into the deep end, you arrive with some sort of subtle confidence where you recognize like, okay, the bad players in this game can still do damage to me if I'm not careful. And the good players in the game don't have the edge over me that I once perceived that they did.
Right. It's like understanding like just stepping up the ladder, so to speak. Like you just put in that time and like that confidence of like, okay, like I've beaten this stake beforehand. I've beaten this stake beforehand. I've beaten this stake beforehand. Like, and just having that experience is important in some regards for self-confidence. Cause like, I know it's tough. Cause like in my case, I put in a lot of work and like run a bunch of sims, of course, and play a bunch of hands. And there are times like where I feel like I know where I'm at versus some people. Like, okay, like I'm winning versus this guy, I'm not winning versus this guy. And sometimes like ego gets in the way and like it could be very easily jaded. But at the end of the day, like I know I'm going to put in enough work to be able to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it's always like a weird like process of being like, oh, like you probably shouldn't play in that game. And I'm like, oh, but I know like I'm beating this person. And it's like, are you really beating them? Or like, do you think you're beating them? It's like, how are you beating them? Like,
so I think that that's like really important to talk about because it's such a concise, finite way of putting it.
Yeah.
Of saying like, I'm beating player X.
Right.
And I might be losing to player Y.
Yeah.
Right. So you're very emphatic about it, but it's like you can estimate this as much or as best that you can.
Yeah.
But the margin of error has to be pretty reasonable.
Right.
I would think.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's really difficult to just say without seeing a massive sample.
And it's just hard to quantify.
Right.
Like it's hard to be like, oh, like I'm beating him for 5 big blinds because he does this wrong and he does this wrong.
Well, I mean, you could go purchase like, 10 million OTB Red Baron hands.
Sure.
And analyze them and say like, okay, I'm losing X big blinds per 100 versus OTB Red Baron because, I can clearly see
the disparity in the way we think.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah. I can see where he's earning money that I would not make. Like his
Yeah.
red line is so much greater than mine or whatever the case may be.
right.
And you can kind of just like recognize through hardcore
Look
data.
at some stats. Yeah. Be like, okay, he's stew betting this percent.
Right. But the rest is just like, it's honestly not much. It's not that much different from live
I agree.
where you're just like sizing someone up.
Yeah.
It's just like, you look at somebody and you're just like,
You're trash.
I can think better than him.
Yeah.
Right. That's like what it boils down to.
And
It's
I feel like that's the way a lot of people, like myself included, of course, like that's a lot of people that get into poker think that way. It's like, okay, like if I'm the smartest in the room, like I'm going to win all the money.
Yeah.
And at least at the poker table, like if you think that you can outthink other people or like think highly of yourself and you think you're winning versus people, like that's where
I do still to some degree believe that applies live.
Yeah. That's why that's what I mean. And for both. Like
Yeah.
online for sure, like especially on screen name sites. Like you see a screen name and you're like, oh, yeah, we've played. I think he's okay, but I think I'm better.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the way that's the same way other regs think about maybe when they play me or other people. Is they're like, yeah, he's pretty good. He doesn't make that many mistakes, but I know I'm better.
I think you have to be delusional at least early in your career to ever see the late stages of your career. Like if
Okay.
you don't have delusional self-confidence to the point where you like, I think you need to wait for the game to humble you, right? Rather than just approaching it from a humble perspective yourself. Because the more humble that you walk into the arena, the more likely you are to view negative feedback loops as being objective.
Okay.
Right. So it's like if you walk into a game and you humbly say like, I think I'm like the 5th best player in this 8-handed game.
Yeah.
And
You're gonna take that role as the 5th best player.
right.
You're gonna play the way you think the 5th best player would play.
Yeah.
But like if you have that confidence of like, I'm fucking up everyone. This is my table. It's like, okay, like you might punt in some spots, but like
Sure.
you're gonna push yourself. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
try to play like as best as you can.
Yeah. Like when you go in there arrogant and you lose to some people that you might think like are on your level.
Yeah.
Now you can reevaluate and say like, am I better than that person or not? Don't get me wrong. Like there's a lot of emotional baggage that comes along with this.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's worth fighting for because if you come in humbly and just say like, those 4 players are better than me, period.
Yeah.
And then you lose to those 4 players, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. I'm allowing that to happen.
Kind of, yeah.
Where it's like not allowing it to happen because sometimes like you're just gonna have like a set. And
Well,
like,
it's just reaffirming what you already thought to be
s-
true.
Yeah, it's gonna restate the claim of this guy's better than you, and
Yeah.
like pots feel more uncomfortable. And I felt that a lot. Like I remember like playing some hands against my former coach when we play sometimes on like global poker. Sometimes like we play some hands or whatever, and like he was like just playing on my stake just to kind of chill out and just mess around and like play pots versus me specifically. I would feel that same way of like he's better than me.
Yeah.
Like he's better, and I would overfold spots, maybe like under aggress in some spots because I just didn't want to deal with the way he thought that I was playing.
Right.
And that's a bad thing for me to keep in the back of my mind when I'm trying to play my best.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out how does he think I should play this, not how do I want to play this for reason X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why you see the old timey regs as
No, this is why I'm egotistical as fuck.
dust bunnies.
Yeah, I'll get my I've been taking my shots. Been winning at 5-10, doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Playing these higher stakes games sometimes. Started recently playing. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of
The
disgusting.
funny part is a lot of the guys that you're beating and competing with at like 5, 10, 10, 20 are
Yeah.
playing 50, 100 live.
Right.
Like I'm playing the same. I'm playing with the exact same lineups in a lot of these live games that I'm going and sitting in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like there's so much money for you to make there,
Right.
but there isn't a whole lot of glory.
No, it's just money.
Yeah.
And it's no, like it's actually, the more I think about it, like I remember at 200-0 when I first started getting good, so to speak. And I was breaking even 200-0 for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like grinding, and I was breaking even in dollars, like winning 3 big blinds per 100 in EV. So like I was going through a quote unquote downswing because I should have been winning money, but I wasn't. And I was just like thinking about it now, and like I literally started shot taking like 5K like 2 weeks ago. And I played 10K yesterday. Like, that's not in like it's different obviously at higher stakes 'cause it's like the same pool and like more money if you have access to money, like okay.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I remember like grinding at 200-0 for months to try to get to that 500 stage.
Yeah.
And I remember like thinking to myself, like, I want to get to 500 before I turn 21. I want to get to 500 online before I turn 21. And then that was something I really wanted to do. I ended up getting it done and just working really hard, but I didn't go from 500 to 1K in a week.
Right.
And it's just like, that's the kind of like ladder that sort of happens. And
That's kind of my concern because I
Right.
think it takes a lot of the fire away. Like all that hard work that you put in to get from 200 to 500 NL.
yeah,
I think that the same hard work is necessary to continually climb the ladder into high stakes, but it's much more nuanced.
and it's rough, right? Because like games don't run very, like there's not 6 tables of 5K going.
Right.
There's 1 table on a weekend.
Right. So every time it pops up, you feel like it's a spot you have to take.
So it's a spot I have to take to get reps in. And if I think I'm winning in some ways, like obviously in those games, I think I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, like the spot's there. I want to take the spot. And because how else am I going to put in volume in there?
Sure.
And that's kind of the problem with
Well, I
online
think that's
higher
something.
stakes.
I think that's something like that you kind of have to, you know. I don't want to say you're putting the cart in front of the horse, but like
Sure.
you're sprinting to the finish line as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that like I don't think anybody who hasn't been in the arena for a while understands is it's very challenging to put in volume at high stakes.
Yeah. I'm realizing that now.
Like even if you're willing to play a mix of online and live, you have to play like a mix of online, live, MTTs and cash.
Yeah.
And then maybe even start to dabble into like other games like PLO or Big Bet Mix or
Some
whatever the case
mixes
is.
and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really, really, really challenging to find a way to put in 2,000 hours at like 50, 100, no limit.
Right. And that's something I realize now. And it's just kind of like wild, just like going back to less than a year ago, when I thought to myself, like the highest stakes I was not ever going to play, but like want to get to play was like 2K now. It's like 10-20 on Ignition.
Yeah.
When I was grinding Ignition, I was like, I want to get to 2K now on Ignition, have win rate there, and like, that'll be sick kind of
Yeah.
idea. And now it's like playing like higher stakes live, playing 5K on WSOP, playing 10K, and then like seeing the same people play like 20K when it runs is just like, I always sort of see the next progression before I'm already there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I want to get to the top and then see what I can do from there. But like for myself, it's not just to kind of do it to kind of say I did it.
Yeah.
Because I would still battle at those stakes just because I've already played the stake. I'm not going to not play anymore because I did it once. I'm like, yeah, like I played that. That's it.
Yeah, of course. But like you do have to be considerate of how you're investing your time,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't stop studying.
Right.
And you can't stop making money either because like it kind of goes hand in hand. One supports the other.
Yeah.
So I do think that like it's a big juggling act to ask a 21-year-old to undertake.
You know a
And
little bit about this yourself and your shot takes.
I shot take way differently than you.
When you were younger.
Even then I was doing it in a live arena, so it comes off very different.
That's
like
right.
it drives me bananas to see you shot taking a 25-50 game and then like 2 tabling 5-10. It's just insane to me. It's like, you know, you have 2 buy-ins for this 25-50 game, and like
Yeah.
this means the work, like picking up 4 buy-ins here is going to be really, really critical
Right.
to you building your own business.
Yeah.
Like I would be analyzing every fucking bet that's made at the table, like positional awareness, like just everything that's going on. But like you're just zoned. You got an Among Us game on in the background.
Okay, come on. All right.
You're fucking playing 2 tables of Heads Up, and
Right.
like it's just like, I mean, these aren't the same games. Like to me, like the EV loss there is massive.
Right.
Like I can't even personally, I've found throughout my career, it's a struggle for me to be like multi-tabling tournaments and then playing one game of cash on the side.
Yeah.
I'm probably still winning in the cash game, but like my EV drops significantly.
Yeah.
To where I'm asking, like, is this worth it?
Right.
Because my EV is also getting cut in the tournaments for every table I add.
Yeah, it makes sense. And the way I sort of see it, which is in some ways like black and white, is like I know when I'm in a specific spot how I want to approach it from just like repetitive work of like,
Sure.
okay, I know this board texture. I know how I'm supposed to bet with my hand. I know how I'm supposed to defend versus a check raise. I know how to bluff appropriately, and the stake isn't like the stake level is not going to change my overall frequencies.
Right.
Which it probably should in some cases when you're shot taking, like maybe like not taking very like marginal pre-flop all in spots and
Right.
like just playing more passive in some approaches.
Yeah.
But that's sort of how I view it as like, yeah, this is another 100 big blind poker cash game I'm playing.
Right.
Where it's not like like I'm not giving it as much of an importance as it might inherently be of just being a bigger game and a spot where when this game dies out, the next time I might play it might be in a few days where 1 KNL runs every day and almost 2 KNL as well.
Yeah.
So like offering more respect to the stake might be like the stake level I'm playing. Probably
I think that translates through live.
Yeah.
So like when you're forced to go play a live game and it's one tabling and you don't have anything to distract yourself with, like you don't have any other areas to be like filling the
besides
downtime.
like phone and boredom.
Right, but you're not filling that downtime with
Other things.
plus EV decisions.
Right.
Right. You're not making money being on your phone or being bored or anything else. So the only way you're making money is when you're out of a hand to be accumulating information.
Yeah.
So it's like now whenever you're not doing those things and you're just kind of like zoned out, waiting to play your frequencies, waiting to do this, that, or the other, you miss a lot of the important shit that gets exchanged live.
Right.
Where it's like, you don't run it on this guy.
Yeah.
Because he's too tight.
Yeah.
Or you don't go for it.
You don't not run it on this guy because he's not.
Right. Right. And it's like all these pots are multi-way. I should probably be developing like some sort of an adjustment to my multi-way strategy because I'm not used to this.
Or maybe in some cases, like adjusting preflop raises instead of from like a standard quote unquote 2.5 3x to like a 5x. And then like you're able to get into like a heads up pot because people aren't going to call.
Yeah, a good example is that I've been playing in an app game where the 3-bet percentage on average in the field is like 6%.
Right.
So I have to I don't have to.
Right.
But I'm incentivized to raise much larger.
Yeah.
Because I never face the heat of a 3-bet.
Because when you do, you just muck it.
Yeah, when I do, I'm just up against top tier or top portion of the range.
Exactly.
And I just get to play bloated pots now against very passive opponents.
Right.
Which seems ideal.
Yeah.
But these are adjustments that like solvers aren't going to really consider because it's impossible to enter those types of parameters.
Like the only like counter to that is when you do raise bigger, they are not as incentivized to 3-bet you in the first place. So they get to play a little bit better, but they're still supposed to have some bluffs somewhere.
Well, they're not getting to play better necessarily because the only reason I'm opening to a larger size is due to their 3-betting frequency.
Right.
Right. So if they're range
only gets 5% of hands 5% of the time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If their range is inelastic, right?
Yeah,
if it's just continuing, whether I make it 2.5x or 4x, but their aggression frequency is also inelastic.
Yeah.
And just remains 5 or 6% regardless of sizing.
Right.
Then it just becomes a really easy pre-flop game where it's like when if
you're going to drive the action, when you get pushed back against, you're going to fold.
Yeah, and if they're V-pipping like 25% or whatever, it's like I'm going to get to play a bunch of bloated multi-way pots with pretty good hands.
Yeah.
In situations where I'm just facing passive opponents.
Yeah. Sounds like a good game.
Sounds like live.
Yeah.
It sounds like live poker.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, it's funny, like these app games, even though they're in an online environment, so to speak, is they play very kind of similarly to live games.
Same thing with WSOP.
Yeah.
The majority of the pool are live players who are like trying to figure out something to do during COVID.
Right.
So like, it makes a lot of sense in that regard.
Right.
Speaking of finding something to do during COVID, segue out of this.
Sure.
We are headed to Austin for Palm Social. We're hosting a week of games down there from December 2nd to the 6th. Rumors you're coming. It's the rumor. I don't know.
I'm coming.
Are you coming?
I'm there.
That's the rumor.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. We're in the streets.
We're in the streets.
We we have a nice fun schedule lined up. I think we're playing 5-10 the first day, some 1-2-5, 2-5-10 on a couple of the other days, and 10-25 on the Saturday before we leave. Sunday is a 6 max event.
Ah, 6 max.
Lock it in.
There it is.
There it is.
Just give me the crown now.
Yeah, the Landon Tice special.
Yeah, the 506 max on WSOP.
Yeah, but I'm pretty pumped. You haven't been to Austin.
No,
bro, it's wild.
Yeah, well, I know of Austin.
It
for poker.
is
right. You say
wild.
1-2-5 like it's 1-2 like $5 buy-in. It's like 1-2 like $5K buy-in.
Yeah, no,
it's 1-2 5-10 25 50.
It gets weird.
It gets
fast.
Weird. Yeah.
Like last time we went, Christian played like I don't remember if it was a 16K or a 32K pot where he just got it all in pre with ace king off against 5-3 offsuit.
It got weird.
It got weird.
Something got weird. Yeah.
Like a lot of bets are going in with the old 5 high.
He held, right?
He chopped. He got what he deserved. If you're gonna put in that many big blinds and not have a pocket pair, you got a draw in hand, son, and you're only going to win half that pot.
That's the old-timey reg speak right there.
That's right. Ace-king, only a drawing hand. Let's find a call there somewhere pre,
Let's find ourselves a nice ace or king on the flop and then see where we go from there.
But he didn't win the first round either.
I think I remember watching that.
Yeah, it gets a little scary. Well,
there was a part of me that thought you were going to say, yeah, he held, and be like, classic.
No. I held in every single pot during that trip. I just won infinite. You
didn't get disconnected?
Did not get disconnected. No. Everything went well. I opened deuces, aces, just flats. We flop a deuce.
Oh yeah.
Stack them.
Yeah, they want to play against
Yeah.
This face.
That's right. I don't raise fold.
Fuck no.
Free bet me, man.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm kind of pumped to make it like a team trip too. Like, Austin's a gorgeous city. I didn't really have much of a chance to explore it last time I was down there.
We're gonna do that this time a little bit.
I'd like to dabble. We hit the scooters on the street of downtown Austin.
Scooters on the streets,
bro. We were flying around. It was great.
Can I drive one of those?
Yeah, you don't need a license for that.
Okay.
You just download it from like Uber app or whatever.
Oh, it's like the electric scooter.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's like Lime, right?
They're great.
It's called Lime, I think.
Lime is one. Bird is another, I think.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Making our way downtown.
We'll make our way downtown, doing a little scooting around.
Yeah.
I'd like to hit up Lake Travis, but I have a feeling it's going to be very cold. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to struggle to get you boys out of the house. But they have pickleball.
There's pickleball.
Pickleball is a big deal there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Last time I was there, I wasn't very good at pickleball, and everybody was hitting me up to play, and I was too embarrassed.
Everybody is in the regs.
Yeah, like the Austin regs. Like they knew I was in town. I was tweeting a bunch about pickleball.
Some
like,
poker,
come play.
Pickleball mixed.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
you're
like pretty average.
I'm like a 2-0.
Yeah. But I think we're hitting like
now
solid.
we got a forehand.
Yeah, I got a forehand shot.
Drive.
Yeah, that's right. I've been working on my game a little bit. I feel comfortable at the 3-0, 3-5 level.
Maybe it should be like a Solve For Why pickleball tournament.
I like this. I'm playing in this tournament right after Thanksgiving, right before we go to Austin.
Cranberry Smash.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in there.
Get in the mix.
Are you getting in?
Probably not.
Why not?
My mom and family's gonna be in town.
She wouldn't want to see her baby boy out there at the Cran Smash trying to ship a pickleball tournament.
It's no prize pool. No.
All right, fair. I thought it was for pride, man.
Honestly, I think I was talking, and maybe they'll just play pickleball like at Creek, and like we'll go there, and we'll just.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll. Be
I mean, I'm a triplet, so I have 2 brothers my age. My sister.
They're coming also.
2, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's a family.
Oh,
so
wow.
I live in Florida, and I'm transitioning to moving somewhere where you might know, in Vegas.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sure. So I told my mom, I'm like, look, if you want to come out and see Vegas, feel free to come here for Thanksgiving, and then I'll come back for Christmas, so I don't have to go back and forth, and she can see what Vegas is like.
Smart.
She can meet you. My family can meet my friends, which is, it's funny because I was talking to Nick about this a little bit. Like, my friends are like 12 years older than me and like 15 years younger than my parents.
Yeah.
So it's like the older crowd, but like still young crowd, but like
it's gonna get a little weird.
It might get weird.
It's gonna get a little weird. You're gonna have to invite like Jeremiah, so you have at least one person your age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my brothers will be fine.
Oh yeah, that's true.
My brothers
That's true. I forgot about that.
They're gonna be like, oh yeah.
You hang out with some old dudes, man. It's creepy.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You
like
hang with young dudes, man. It's creepy.
it's like we're all just like rolling around in a big white van with candy. Like, yeah, you play a little poker.
Happy Halloween.
You play poker, young man.
Young man.
You want this lollipop?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Chin's like the nice halfway in between age group, I guess. He's 31, so 10 years, only 10 years. Yeah,
Almost Legend of the Game status.
almost. Like, nah, he hasn't been playing that long.
When do you start? Well, you started when he was like 20.
He started post Black Friday, so he's
Okay.
probably been playing like 8-9 years.
He's got a
maybe.
couple years left before he's Legend.
Yeah, he's got to hit that mid-30s stride.
Yeah.
But he finally started dabbling in the high stakes, so I think that he's prepared to start puffing his chest a little bit.
Get out there.
Yeah,
So prove his worth.
Maybe get on a little poker after dark, little high stakes poker. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
Who knows?
Get that Solve For Why patch right there.
Yeah, we got to patch his ass up.
Wear his shirt. Wear his own shirt on there.
I hope he doesn't wear his own shirt. I won't allow it. I won't allow it, man.
Can't take it.
He can't make his TV debut wearing the pain,
Wearing the pain threshold.
The pain threshold. Yeah, it's too much.
Or his as it pertains to.
The as it pertains to is funny. He totally stopped saying the phrase. It's really impressive. He got made fun of a little bit.
Got roasted a little bit.
Yeah, and just like totally scrapped it from his vernacular, which is really quite impressive.
He took it out of the playbook.
I wish I could take the word like out of my playbook.
I say that way too much.
I didn't realize I said it that much. And then I started paying a little bit closer attention. And, in this hour-long form of potting, I definitely fill in the gap a lot.
It's funny because when I do podcasts and stuff a little bit more now, my dad would like call me sometimes and be like, hey, you sounded good, but you didn't sound as smart as you are because you keep saying like every 5 sentences.
Yeah.
And I responded with,
Okay.
you're right.
I'll work on it.
Right. And
Yeah.
while I'm saying these sentences, I'm trying to not say like,
Yeah.
and it helps.
Yeah.
Helps not speak as fast too.
That's true. So speaking of televised poker,
Yeah.
high stakes poker is back.
Yeah.
We saw I saw some of the lineups. I don't know for sure like what they all were. I know there was one game where it was like Durr, I think it was Durr, John Andreas, maybe Bryn Kenny. Was he in that
I think he
lineup?
played a little bit. JRB?
JRB was in there. Scott Ball was in there. Man, there were
Sean Perry was in there, right?
Sean Perry was in there, yes.
And Petrangelo.
I think Petrangelo played in
Might have been
a
a
different
different
lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's some old school guys. There's some new school guys.
Oh, Jason Kuhn played.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think the other lineup, there were multiple lineups. I think they played like 3 or 4 tapings.
Right.
There was another one that was, I believe, Rick Solomon, JRB, Durr, just the splash. Like,
Some might call that an action game.
it may have been a bit
some
of
action.
an action game. There may have been some unscrupulous hands played.
Some
that we've
perceived
heard.
good lines.
Yes,
ran,
some
perceived
really
bluffs.
Some really just I'm not sure what to do here other than fucking rip it and see what happens kind of plays.
You win sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you win.
You
Sometimes
always
it
have
gets through.
some form of equity.
That is it's rare that it's zero.
You
when
can
it's
never
pre-flop.
draw dead pre.
That's true. That is true.
Never
You can
draw.
come pretty close though.
You can come close.
Like
Ace
you get
king
in
versus
with
ace.
like ace deuce off versus aces.
Ace king, yeah.
You're pretty dead. So yeah, that took place. Pretty exciting stuff. From what I understand, they're playing like 2-4.
Yeah.
But a lot of the games are playing bigger. Obviously, any
Right.
game with Rick Solomon is like
The
automatic
2-4,
3200.
8-16, 3200 sleeper.
Yeah,
it's
just
just there.
auto 32 sleeper.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of what I experienced with these Bellagio games when I first started.
yeah.
A couple months ago, I thought I was just playing some 2040 at the Bellagio, and it's 2040, 80, 160, and sometimes the 320. And I'm sitting here.
This is why you got to respect the VIPs, man.
Yeah.
They can do some damage. You show up and you have 10 buy-ins in your purse.
It turns into one buy-in.
And it turns into one buy-in, and all of a sudden you're a little bit shook.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, maybe I can't run it in this spot
And all
because
of a
I can't
sudden-
reload.
All of a sudden, they ask you to run it. You ask them to run it twice painfully. They say once, ace of spades on their
One time, sir.
One time, sir.
One time. That's it.
Man.
Yeah,
a
so
great story.
I'm pretty excited. They didn't live stream them this time, so we didn't get to see the uncut version, which
Yeah.
is what they had been doing with Poker After Dark
Right.
in the past behind the paywall. I got to play Poker After Dark yesterday. How'd
that go?
Get in the ring with my man, the legend, Nick Schulman.
Yeah.
Little part of me wanted to ask for his commentary during the entire session,
Okay.
but I didn't want to be rude.
You wanna-
I don't want to overstep his bounds.
It'll be a viewing party or something.
Yeah. Maybe we can get him
That-
to do commentary like
Over his own
while
play.
we watch it over his own play.
Right.
So what I was thinking here was,
Yeah.
kind of like Poker Out Loud, studio edition,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
Got to play with him. Got to play with your boy Jeremiah.
Yep.
Always a pleasure. James Board, one of my favorite humans on earth. He's just so ridiculous. First hand we play, spoiler. First hand we play.
That's what you get for listening to the pod. You get some hands. You get spoilers and hands from new poker.
I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the first hand, first of all, before we even delve in, he just looks at the table and goes, all right, I'm just letting you know, 8-9 suited, I'm all in pre. I'm all in pre. It's a good hand. I'm all in pre. That's it.
What's the let's just like hear me out real quick. Let's say you have what's the worst hand if you open and he insta jams first hand? What's the worst hand you call with if you have like a 200 big blind stack?
Jack 10 suited.
Action game.
Yeah, action game for
We're
sure.
setting the statement on this game right now.
I mean, it's 100 big blinds. I'm gonna gamble.
It's almost like you just call with anything.
I'm gonna gamble with James Board.
Yeah.
If he wants to do a 10K flip where he got the advantage of looking at his hand and I had the advantage of looking at my hand and raising first,
Yeah.
let's run it.
Right.
I'm in. I'm 100% in.
Some good TV right there.
Yeah. So he was obviously a pleasure to play with. He was a lot of fun. But the very first hand, Nick opens.
Yep.
He flats.
Yeah.
And Scott Ball 3-bets. It ends up playing out where James calls the 3-bet and a 1-liner to a 7 rolls off on the texture.
Yeah.
And they get the showdown.
Yep.
Scott has the kings.
Yep.
Okay hand. Good for him.
Decent holding.
James, 7-4 off. Not my house, baby.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nice job.
Ship me the
Just
pot,
kings,
baby.
huh?
Just kings. Those are no good here. We got the 7-4-0.
Just kidding.
Under the gun 1.
See, you
Call,
get all the
call.
money in pre, you win sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't allow it. He just went with the I'm
to
going to
call.
call a raise and then
yeah.
I'm going to call a 3-bet and then I'm just going to flop the world and we're going to go with it.
Thankfully, he didn't have 8-9 suited.
Yeah. So that was
8-9 suited, he was it's gonna be all over.
Oh, he would have made 2 pair. It's fine.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, for Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was an exciting game. It was actually, we started off playing 50-100.
Yeah.
And when we closed the session, I looked at Nick and I go, I can't actually justify putting in my log that I just played a 50-100 game, can I?
Right.
He goes, no. This is minimum 51-2 plus.
Right.
There were many 800 straddles. I had the nut low seat. I was like in the small blind every time it straddled through to the Jeremiah's the button.
I know. Nick told me. He said, Jeremiah, my guy got God's seat.
Oh my God, he's the
5
button.
blinds in front of him. He's on the button.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There's
Hell
just like
yeah.
5 blinds in front of him. Mr. Terry's sitting out. Like
Yeah.
it's just a dream spot for him.
Yeah.
He didn't run all that well towards the end. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Always enjoyed
That's what
playing.
poker should be.
Yeah. I ran so assy in the early part and so good when
I heard you got stuck a little bit, then you found your way.
I was buried. I was down like 35K when we were playing whatever bastardized version of 50-100 we were playing.
Yeah.
And then my man, Mr. Terry, he's the best. He's a tournament local.
Okay.
Probably in his like late 50s, early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Legend of the game. He's Mr. Terry 007 online.
Right.
You know him. You've played with
some
him.
pots.
For sure you've
Legend.
played pots. Yeah.
Absolute legend.
I used to grind like the Venetian events with him and some 510 like way back in the day.
Really?
Just the guy's been around for literally ever.
Back when you were my age.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably well over a decade. Not your age.
Little
When I was
older.
your age, I was in college.
Oh yeah. That thing.
But yeah, probably like more like 12, 13 years ago.
Sure.
And he sits down and he goes, boy, 10K is not going to go very far in this game. I'm like, no, we got an action game on our hands.
Action game.
And he's like, well, whatever. When am I going to get the chance to sit between you and Nick Schulman again?
Yeah.
I'm like,
He's got
yeah,
a point.
good attitude.
Trooper.
But yeah, like once he quit, you guys want to play 2-4? It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I'm buried, so let's play 2-4. May as well.
As a responsible adult.
Right, sure. And I just got ace king like 26 times, and it's like, okay, we're on stock.
You wanted them to not respect your raises at higher stakes.
That's right.
There it is.
Well, they weren't respecting my raise.
Ace king's a drawing hand.
Every time I put $1 in the pot, I got 3-bet.
Must
So
be
I was like,
must
if
be nice.
So if I'm going to get 3-bet, let's make sure I have ace king, and we're
Let's-
playing 3x the stakes.
Let's have the hand.
Yeah. So it worked out a little
So
bit.
long con.
That's right. It's face equity. You just build up the face equity for the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
The most space equity in the game.
It's up there. It's strong.
Do you know anyone that has anything more?
I think Negreanu has more face equity with Doug right now.
Yeah.
I would say. Maybe not though. Maybe Doug has more face equity with Negreanu.
I want to say, I would assume it would be the way where Doug probably thinks that Daniel is under bluffing in some spots, which is probably naturally going to be true because it's hard to find all the bluffs you do need.
Yeah,
But-
sure. I don't think Doug's one to fold though, getting a price. From what I've seen,
Hell no.
he calls pretty
Sucker for a good price.
light
Yeah.
in a lot of these spots.
You got to bet on that.
I do. I took D-Negs at reasonable price, I think.
He had a good session today.
That makes me feel a little bit better about. I was really hoping after the live that he was just gonna jump off.
He's gonna ride off into the sunset.
No, I didn't care if he like just won all the bet over 25,000. I was just hoping he was gonna like just shoot up like 15 buy-ins.
Yeah.
And then
And then whatever happens, happens.
Well, then I was just
it's
like,
the
the price
hedge.
just drops to like 2-1.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, like let's just print some money on this and enjoy the fucking show.
Yeah. Enjoy the. Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't bet enough where like I'm gonna care one way or the other.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm pulling for my man.
We'll take the win.
I would
Win
like-
is nice.
Yeah, a win would be nice for sure.
Yeah.
Especially getting late at price. But yeah, what do you think of the match so far? D-Negs came back a little bit today.
Yeah. So I've seen in and outs and here and there's of the match just because I'm busy either playing my own grinds and doing things on my own. But stuff I've seen, like Daniel's been using a lot of 20% pot and 3/4 pots for his strategy. And it's going to be really hard to compete playing against somebody like Doug using a 2-sizing strategy because he's entering Doug's wheelhouse. Like Doug's just been playing heads up for his entire career.
Be a little bit more specific. When or what portion of the tree exactly is he using these two sizes?
Mostly
like
on
when
flop.
he's the C better.
Yeah, mostly as
Okay.
like C bets and like some like turn steps. And you're not going to lose that much EV in some spots, but it's really hard when you're betting a small amount and Doug understands that he should be check raising appropriately. And then you're forced to defend in that part of the game tree.
Sure.
Like, it's not saying I'm good at it either. It's fucking difficult. Poker's fucking hard. Like it's fucking difficult, you know? You put out a C bet with dust and you're hoping they fold. Sometimes you have some backdoors and need to peel one and then see what happens. And like the mistakes aren't on the flop, but the compounding mistakes are really difficult because on river when pots are the biggest, you can make many big blind mistakes in one hand.
Yeah, I would assume a 2-bet size strategy on flop isn't that detrimental. I don't know how much like potting and overbetting we're gonna see. I'm sure Doug will find the nuanced
There's
spots.
boards, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he'll find the very particular situations.
Yeah.
I would think it would harm Daniel the most in 3-bet pots
Yeah,
or 4-bet pots.
when pots are just bigger.
Yeah, I saw him doing a fair amount of 4-betting off the button, and it's weird because like SPR is much lower.
Correct.
So having a 2-bet strategy intuitively should be fine because the game tree is relatively simple moving forward. But I also think that like when he chooses wrong, it's very painful. When he chooses 75% instead of 20% in that spot, or when he chooses 20% because he thinks it's a range spot,
Right.
but like really he should be going big. The lack of denial or realization that he's affording himself in those situations is probably going to show through a lot in the win-loss column. Similar to like what you're saying with river,
Yeah.
right? Because in these highly leveraged spots, now flop almost becomes equivalent to river
Right.
because you're putting in so many big blinds.
And it's just the nature of heads up poker. Like it's really hard to be even decent at heads up versus world class. In a spot where Doug was at one point in his career, and he'll be the first to say that he's still making mistakes.
Sure.
And it's just a matter of who's going to make more. It's kind of how poker works. Like I don't
Right.
play perfect. No one really plays
Yeah.
perfect. It's just about who makes more mistakes in spots where mistakes will be punished. When it's like maybe you make a call that's losing 10 big blinds, but they have a bluff, so you win the pot.
Right.
And then you skirt by.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's harder to do when you're playing a 25,000 hand sample heads up because they're just going to play a proportion amount to their VPIPs of 3-bet pots, 4-bet pots, and single raise pots.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Like it's fun to watch hands and kind of try to get like the insight of what's going on. And like obviously if there's a spot that like really kind of like irks me in some cases of like this bet I don't understand, or this call I don't think makes sense, or this river raise seems kind of trashy.
Yeah.
I can just run a sim and see what it looks like in theory and look at it from a theory baseline versus what Doug or Daniel could be thinking in the moment.
What have you thought of the coverage so far? Because like this is a pretty big, this community wide, this is a pretty big event.
Yeah.
But I think because of the duration of it, it's really hard to showcase it that way.
We're missing Joey.
Yeah,
we're missing Joey. So
he's gonna get in the Apostle lab again.
Oh yeah, Joey.
And just do live streams for 20 hours after every match.
Disclaimer: I think Joey and I are gonna do some stuff on the Doug Daniel, and we're gonna do some live streams, and we're gonna do some commentary, and we'll just try to talk about some hands and maybe do like some like highlights and lowlights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that should be a bunch of fun kind of with the chemistry that Joey and I have. And we kind of just talk about poker off camera. It's going to be the same thing as it would be on.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a lot of fun to kind of look at some spots. And Joey has the engagement. Joey's got the hype. He brings to the table what you'd expect from. So
are you guys actually going to like call the match similar to like what other streams are doing? Or are you just going to do like after the fact?
I think we're going to mix. I think it'll be a mix. Like we'll have some live streams. Maybe, who knows? We might just go insano mode and just stream every time that they're going to play.
Yeah.
Like I'll just go over to Joey's and then we'll talk about the match. We'll pull the hands up and we'll try to do as best as we can, because without hole cards, it is really difficult.
Also with two tables, it's really difficult to like
it's
try to analyze something that happened in the past while there's two hands taking place.
And interact with the chat. So like a lot of it's just going to be like us kind of riffing back and forth and like hands that I think make sense and like try to guess some hands in some capacity. Just because without hole cards, it's harder to understand what hands could be in range in some lines, because you don't see them and you just have to be inherently good at heads up to know what's going on in some regard.
My personal take on this, and I would love to be the people to do it, but like I just don't feel it's my niche.
Sure.
But my personal take is there's plenty of coverage out there.
Yeah.
I saw Rabbit Child did a stream today. GG's already doing a stream.
Upswing's
Doug's already doing a stream. Upswing's doing a stream. And there's going to be more and more that pile on as the challenge continues forward, assuming that it's competitive.
Right.
What we're lacking is the Sports Center highlight reel.
Right. The top 5
with an analyst.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, personally, if I could encourage you and Joey to do anything, it would be that show.
Yeah.
Right. A 30-minute breakdown of some of the more interesting spots.
Yeah.
In a scenario where, maybe you run through a highlight package and you analyze like two hands.
Right.
Right. So it's like, here were the 10 most prolific hands of the session. This is where momentum swung and like yada, yada, yada. But these two hands in particular were most interesting. So Landon's here to analyze it kind of
right.
thing.
So maybe like the way it kind of works out is we pick from a session, like a session by session thing. And then we find like the top maybe 3. And then we'll run sims for them in ranges at like 100 big blind heads up, or if they're 200 because stacks are deeper, then we run it for 200. Yeah. And then we kind of like look at the intricacy of like, not of like, I guess in the sense of like theory points in some way, where it's like, okay, like Doug did this makes sense in theory. Daniel did this makes sense in theory. It's mixed at certain percentage.
Yeah.
And kind of see like how far off.
I just think you want to be able to estimate the EVs.
Right. And in bigger pots. And because obviously it's a lot more interesting to look at a river where someone could potentially make like a 10 big blind per 100 mistake versus like a single raise pot where it's like check.
Sure.
Bet 3/4 fold, where he should, if we knew what his hand was, like, or call, that's a mistake.
It's of course.
That the people don't care about that. The people want to see, they want blood.
Also, like a hand that goes to showdown's a lot easier.
Right. Because then you can actually analyze. You could see if the combo is supposed to even be in range in the first place.
Of course. And I think that would be fascinating. It could even just be like a weekly thing.
Yeah, of course.
Where
you just look at hands from the week.
Yeah. So like maybe you're still only analyzing 3 or 4, but you might be highlighting like 30 or 40.
Yeah. Doug ran a bluff today with Queen Jack in a specific hand, and that would probably be a good one to look at, because I'm just curious about that one myself to kind of see what it looks like from a theoretical perspective, and I'm sure Doug had his own reasons for running a bluff.
We don't care about Doug and Daniel anymore.
Right?
We don't care. We're the critical eyes now.
Yeah.
We want to hold their feet to the fire and see what it looks like. This is the test. We have the answer key.
That's what the people want. Yeah.
The people want the black
answer.
and white according to the answer key.
Right.
And I'm being relatively sarcastic about this, because obviously like that's just not how the game works.
Right.
But I do think that that's the lens through which most
It's
people
kind
judge
of like
this
the
type of
best
thing.
we're gonna get for like the people to kind of see what's going on in some sense.
Right. Yeah. And I think from a breakdown standpoint, like that's
And
relatively true.
obviously, it doesn't have to be super in depth on like a theory standpoint, but you can just be like, okay, like you pull up PIO or PO, whatever you want to say, and then you pull up the sim, and then you run the ham through the sim, and you see how the EV gain like loss happens to each decision, and then take it from there. And then you can be like, okay, practically it makes sense to falter in this spot because it's hard to randomize and guess frequencies. So we're gonna pick this one strategy of maybe range betting for X percent of pot and live with it. And if it's mixed, you're not losing an EV by doing it.
Right.
It might compound on later streaks.
Yeah, I think it could be an interesting thing.
Yeah, it'll be fun. At the very least, it'll be entertaining.
Sure. Now, adjacent to this, we have the Galfond challenge going on, and I feel like this is getting zero publicity.
Right.
So nobody else is picking up the stream. It's really only just Run It Once.
It's Run It Once and Nathan Gamble and Henry, GTO commentator.
But they're doing it for Run It Once, I think.
Right. Yeah, like they're doing it on their own channels though.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought they were doing it on the Run It Once channel.
They
might be simulcasting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's only one. I don't think that there's a second set of streaming commentary.
It's what I mean is
at.
the Twitch isn't from Run It Once.
Okay.
Which is, it's not from Run It Once Poker. It's
Okay.
like from them, which is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. That's
But
fair.
yeah, there needs to be some more hype, like more hype in some ways, and I'm sure Joey is gonna bring some hype back to that, being the PLO god, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I understand his draw to Doug because it's his friend, but
Yeah.
it makes a lot more sense for him to be doing the Chance Galfond thing, I think.
I think he'll be back. He'll be back in full force.
I mean, how much time does the man have in a day? These guys are grinding.
He'll be back.
We have 2 challenges going on like 6 days a week.
I think what the best approach we might have would be something along the lines of like finding the best hands and then doing like an in-depth breakdown.
Yeah, I think that's done though for the Galfond challenge, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like Moonlight Master or somebody.
Right.
Has a
It
channel.
just depends on who's broadcasting it. Because like if Joey did it on his channel and like hyped it up and just had his sort of, I guess.
You're just saying we get more eyes.
Yeah, I get more eyes.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Sure.
I guess people would care. Like people just care more.
I don't know, man. I do agree that like the community cares about what we make them care about.
Sure.
And it's kind of on people with platforms to highlight the stuff that's important in the community. But it's long, man. These challenges are long.
Yeah.
The Galfond challenge is like, what, 10% done?
Imagine if they just like played and then they had like a high stakes poker sort of idea where like they had the footage of all the stuff or like maybe they played with whole cards and no one could see it and they just did like a highlight show of it.
Yeah.
Like the challenge was already done.
Yeah, of course.
That'd be pretty interesting.
It would be super interesting. It's the way
every week there'd be like a new episode of the challenge.
It's for sure the way to do this the right way.
Yeah.
The problem is like just the amount of time, effort, and production that goes into all of that. And I don't think any of these independent parties are like in a position to really do it.
Was MJ and Limitless were gonna do something, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that they're just gonna like play behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And I don't know, with COVID now on the rise, I don't even know if like that match is going to be scheduled anytime in the near future.
Sure.
But yeah, we have another challenge to look forward to down
Potentially.
the line. Yeah, potentially.
We'll see.
We will see.
Maybe I'll have to throw
I was
a challenge.
wondering when you were going to throw your hat in the fucking ring.
Hat in the ring. I got some time. I gotta bide my time.
Yeah, just chill out.
I got some money to make first.
Let's make all the money.
All the money first.
Let's make all the money first.
Hmm.
All right, I think that about wraps it. Pretty good understanding of what the young buck is up to these days. And I'd like to go whip your ass at a little pickleball right now, to be honest. Humble you a little, if you will.
Could use it.
You came back.
I was doing pretty well before I left.
Yeah.
I left.
Do you think
We'll
you
get it back.
regressed, or do you think that everybody else just caught up?
It's a combo of both.
I don't think so. I think it's very one-sided.
No, I mean, I would say like 70-30. You guys got better and I didn't get better.
Yeah, I'd see it more like 90-10. Like
I got
the
some
group
work. I got some
collectively all got significantly better.
You guys did get better.
And I'm measuring it not just on you. I'm measuring
Yeah.
against other people that I thought were very good that I think now are just like mixed in. Like I think everybody is getting, with the exception of Conrad, because
He's been out of action.
he also just like, he's like you, man. He just wants to hit the ball between his fucking legs. You know?
Style points.
It's like, yeah, he's got to dunk on people. He can't just go for the layup.
You got to have some flavor.
You got to, like, you guys don't dink and dunk. Or I guess just dinking is, you do dunk. You attempt to dunk.
I can't dunk.
You can't dunk a basketball?
No.
Really? You waste a height. Let's make a dunk bet.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
How tall are you?
6'5".
6'5"?
Yeah, but I can't jump.
All right. Well, Jesus Christ. I'm 17 years your senior.
I know you dunked. Yeah, you dunked.
I have a repaired ACL. No, but I haven't dunked since any of this stuff happened. Sure. I'm old now and I have a fucking broken knee. So you gotta let me. What about?
No. I mean, for me, what if we make a bet where I have to dunk a basketball by the end of 2021? Like, you give me a year.
No. I want to wash if we're both able to dunk.
Okay.
And I want a price if I'm able to dunk and you're not.
Okay.
As I should get one because you are 5 inches tall.
As an old-timey reg.
Yeah, you're 5 inches taller than me. You're 17 years younger than me. 17 years. You're my poker career younger than me.
I'm a god.
Right. And you don't have a previously torn ACL.
No.
Let's work this out.
I just can't jump. Let's get it done.
I want to do that. I want to do a dunk bet.
What if? Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay.
I want to dunk a basketball.
You've never dunked a basketball?
Never dunked a basketball.
Wow. You should be able to dunk two hands like pretty easily. I'll never dunk two hands. I can't jump like that.
You'd have to get like a good throw.
No. I've been able to I've never been able to hang on the rim two-handed because I jump off 1 foot. So like for me to even like get up that high, I have to take a hard run, jump off 1 foot, and my momentum is already carrying me. So like I've been able to like get my fingers over the rim.
Yeah.
But that's it. I couldn't like.
It's actually going to be like, it would help in many different ways because I would be forced to lose weight and I would be forced to get like, we'll lose more weight because I'm like convincingly.
I think it's time to get your ass in the gym too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Should make that happen.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, man. I hit up the garage gym.
Tuesday, that's it?
Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to my trainer. So no, that's not it. I'm there 6 days a fucking week, buddy.
You're back. You're back in the gym grind.
I'm back on the gym grind, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I never left.
You left.
I toned it down a bit.
You left.
I got a little soft.
He left.
It was COVID. Nobody was going to see me without a shirt on.
He left the gym grind.
We're back now, baby. I'm down to a nice clean 191. We're getting a little bit lean out there. I'm ready to rock. I'm going to be dunking time.
I got to get to sub 200 in 6 months for this weight loss bet thing I did.
It's a fucking joke.
I weigh, yeah.
What do you weigh now?
I weigh 215.
You have to lose 16 pounds
we'll have to lose
in 6 months.
We'll have to lose it every month. You have to lose a little more. So you can't just like steamroll, do it all at once.
Sure.
But yeah, I do, which just means I have to play pickleball and get in the gym.
Yeah, I agree.
It's about that time.
Shouldn't be.
It's about damn time.
Yeah. All right. I can help you with that. You help me with
right, setting some parameters up.
You just help me get young. I don't want to be an old-timey reg.
Yeah, you don't want to be an old-timey reg no more.
No, that's right. All right. That's a wrap. I can't take it anymore. We'll be back next week. Who knows what the fuck is going to be going on, but it'll be our last vlogcast prior to Thanksgiving. We're going to be doing a live vlogcast from Palm Social in Austin. So I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, hang out, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I think we're going to be rolling out a Black Friday merch sale for everybody. So stay tuned for that. I'm also pretty confident I'm going to jump back in the streaming streets starting this Sunday.
Whoa,
WSOP,
that's a big ask.
WSOP,
that's a big ask of yourself.
WSOP got a tournament series going on.
Online championship.
I don't think I'm going to stream every day. But
like the high rollers.
Yeah, Sundays are good. Tuesdays are good. Whenever there's no live games going, I'm not going to be missing too much.
We'll battle again in the 500 six max.
I miss it a little bit. Not a lot.
Maybe that's what I need. I need you to get back in the field.
You
remember? Remember when we played the 500 six max and I told you I was going to win it?
Yeah.
Got it done?
Yeah, you did. You were still pie-eyed and hungry back then.
Still am.
Now you're dead even and over it. You're an old wither reg now.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, I've won the 500 before. I don't
That's
care.
my turn. No, I got to defend my crown.
Right. Because you won it once.
I won it twice.
Oh, okay. Twice.
Maybe.
My bad.
I played it for like 2.5 months. And I played it for like 2.5 months and I final tabled it like 7 times.
Yeah, it's a 40-man field.
100 with rebuys.
40 people played the event.
100 people.
100 entries go in.
100 people with No, honestly, the one I won the first time was for 27 because it was during the main event.
Right.
I was
Big
in that
one.
one for 4 bullets, though.
Sure. You deserved it.
Got it all done.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Needed it.
That's a wrap for episode number 22. I will see you guys all in
Not gonna do nothing. You are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know it, I know.